Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this is meant for class 11th biology students, and this is meant for 14th July 2020. And from our memory we know that we have been studying about the chapter called Cell, the Unit of Life. And in this chapter we have already covered prokaryotic cell, its structure, and why is it called prokaryotic cell. And also we studied what is called cell theory, proposed by two great scientists, Sleeden and Schwann. In this session we are going to study about the structure of eukaryotic cell. What do you mean by eukaryotic? Eu means very clear. Karyon means nucleus. So eukaryotic cell is a cell in which the nucleus is very clear, very prominent, and every cell organelle will be having a layer around it. So it is membrane bound cell organelles will be there in eukaryotic cell. And the major components of eukaryotic cell will be presence of cell membrane, a lot of cytoplasm. Cyto means a cell, plasm means liquid that is present inside the cell, and of course a very prominent nucleus. That's how we are calling them as eukaryotic cells. So if you compare the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, we understand that prokaryotic cell is very small in size, it's in microns, and eukaryotic cells are big in size. And in prokaryotic, cell is bound by cell wall, whereas in eukaryotic there may be cell wall, and along with that there will be cell membrane also, like in case of plants. And nucleus is not clear in case of prokaryotic. Instead, there is something called nuclear material, nucleoid is present in prokaryotic cell, whereas in eukaryotic cell a well-developed nucleus will be present with its material, DNA. And then DNA is naked in case of prokaryotic cell and without any association. Whereas in case of eukaryotic, nuclear DNA is associated with proteins called histones, and nuclear DNA is very clear. The amount of DNA in case of prokaryotic cell is almost remains the same, but the amount of DNA shows a regular alternation between diploid and haploid stages. Now here I should say what is diploid and what is haploid. Haploid, hap means half, ploidy means set of chromosomes. Haploid, a cell having half set of the original chromosomes. Like if you take our own case, human cell will have 46 chromosomes, and out of this 46, if a cell has got 23, then we say the cell is haploid, N we write. And on the other hand, if there are two sets, di means two, diploid, two sets of chromosomes, that is 23 one set and two sets of 23 each, and then we say it is a diploid cell. So in our body, except the sperm and the ovum, all other cells are diploid, whereas in case of the gametes, there is only n number, haploid number. So in case of eukaryotic cell, there will be alternating stages of diploidicity and haploidicity, whereas in case of prokaryotic cell, the DNA amount remains constant. And all the cell organelles, as I said just now, in eukaryotic cell, they are membrane bound. Hence, eukaryotic cells are of two types, animal cell and a plant cell. As you are seeing here in the picture, in the diagram, The plant cell will be having cell wall as the outermost membrane, and below the cell wall you can see cell membrane, and the cell membrane is two layered. So totally one layer cell wall, two layered cell membrane. Totally three layers will be protecting the plant cell. And in case of an animal cell, there is no cell wall. Directly there is cell membrane. And this has got rigidity. Plant cell has got rigidity, so the shape is almost fixed. Whereas the animal cells have got flexibility. The shape keeps on changing. And if you see the internal structures, prominently you can see a nucleus in case of a plant cell, and the nucleus is pushed towards a side. And who is pushing this? A very big sized vacuole. Vacuole is there, big sized vacuole, and that pushes the nucleus to a side in case of a plant cell. Whereas in case of an animal cell, you can see the vacuoles are very small, and having small vacuoles, the nucleus cannot be pushed, so the nucleus is occupying centrally. So in an animal cell, nucleus will be on an average will be in the center of the cell. And you can also see other parts like mitochondria, cytoplasm of course, ribosomes, all that. And animal cell possesses centrosome and centriole. Centrioles of course we will talk in our future sessions, that they will help in mitosis and meiosis. And in case of the plant cells, of course, they have, as I said, cell wall, and then plasmodesmata, finger-like structures extending from the plasma, large vacuoles, just now I showed you, and then plastids that are responsible for many functions, including photosynthesis. So, in eukaryotic cell, there are two types. One is animal cell and another is plant cell. What is that you have to do? Draw the diagrams both, label it, and try to know the significance of each part and write the differences between plant cell and animal cell, maybe around 5. Anyway, let's see this. The cellulose cell wall present around the cell membrane, cell wall is absent, vacuoles are large, just now we showed, and numbers are less, vacuole number also less. Whereas in animal cell, vacuoles are absent, or if they are present, they are small in size and numbers will be more. And plastids are present. Here in animal cell also, some cells exceptional, plastids will be there, but the advanced animals will not have plastids. Golgi body is present, and we will be knowing about the structure and functions of it. And then there is single highly complex and prominent Golgi apparatus. Centrosome, centrioles absent. Centrosome, centrioles are present in animal cell. Try to know as many as possible and write the best ones. So we have got plant cells differ in several key features from cells of other eukaryotic organisms. Try to contrast and compare right from cell wall. And when we go to the structure, you can see here a young plant cell and a matured plant cell. You can see the differences. Young plant cells are completely filled by cytoplasm. It's called cytosol, having many small vacuoles and nucleus in the center. These small vacuoles later on fuse to form a single large vacuole and pushing aside the nucleus towards the wall. In mature plant cell, large central cavity or vacuole, look at this, very big one. Large central vacuole is present, and that pushes the nucleus to a side. And cell sap or cytoplasm has got lot many organic and inorganic substances. And the cytoplasm and the cell organelles in an eukaryotic cell, mainly any eukaryotic cell, be it a plant cell or animal cell, will have cytosol and cell organelles. So cytosol, what is cytosol? Cytosol is a jelly-like optical, clear, homogeneous and colloidal structure, and it has got many organic and inorganic structures. These nutrients, organic and inorganic nutrients, help them in different functions. So more or less the cytosol is a gel-like, it's a viscous fluid. And the chemical composition, look at that, 90% of the cytoplasm is water, 7% proteins, 1.5% carbohydrates, and 1.5% lipids and inorganic ions. And all these are covered in case of both the plant cell as well as animal cell, a plasma membrane. And the plasma membrane is delicate, very soft, semi-permeable, means selectively it will permit the inflow and outflow of materials both in and out of the cell. And this permeability depends upon many factors, and one of the factors is the density of the cytoplasm and osmoregulation. So plasma membrane hence regulates flow of water, organic salts, inorganic salts, etc. And when we see the structure of that cell membrane, so cell membrane or plasma membrane bounds the cytoplasm on the outer side and also covers the cell organelles inside the cytoplasm. Various models have been put forward to explain the structure of plasma membrane or cell membrane, but the most widely accepted model is that of fluid mosaic model. And this fluid mosaic model, which is most accepted one, is presented by two scientists, Singer and Nicholson. So it has become famous as Singer and Nicholson model of fluid mosaic model. As the name suggests, it is something like, mosaic. When we got a flooring, we say mosaic slates. So the background will be whitish or brownish and there will be dots, either black dots or colorful dots. And such a flooring we say mosaic flooring. So same is the case here. When we take the structure of the plasma membrane, it looks like a fluid mosaic model. And what is it made up of? It is mainly made up of three things. Bilayer of phospholipids. So bilayer means two layers of phospholipids from the core. And then proteins are embedded here and there randomly. So there can be peripheral proteins, there can be integral proteins. So two types of proteins. Peripherally they are present and some are integrated within the bilayer of phospholipids. And bilayer has fluid consistency. Of course it is not rigid, and it is due to number of unsaturated fatty acids in phospholipids. And here is the structure. This is how the plasma membrane fluid mosaic model will be present. And this is, remember, is presented by Singer and Nicholson. And this is described as protein icebergs in a sea of lipids. I repeat, protein icebergs in the sea of lipids. Now let us identify where are the lipids. Look at that. This is a lipid layer, this is a lipid layer. Two layers are there, 1 and 2. So bilipid. And then where are the proteins? Now this is intrinsic protein, means in between that phospholipid layer, protein is embedded. And then extrinsic, it is present outside. So this is the reason why we say protein icebergs. See, this is looking like an iceberg, another iceberg, another iceberg. So it's a solid ice crystals and that are flowing in the sea of water. And this is sea of lipids. This is lipid, this is lipid. And when we see this phospholipids, and you got a channel protein, you got a carrier protein, you got a glycoprotein. So varieties of proteins are there that are either integral or peripheral. So basically you got a double phospholipid bilayer, and in between proteins are integrated. Some proteins are in between the phospholayers, we say integrated proteins. Some are at the periphery outside, and the integral proteins are either channel proteins or carrier proteins. And this, according to this model, there is a bilayer of lipid molecules, as you are seeing, layer 1, layer 2. These are phospholipids with globular protein molecules, and these globular protein molecules are of two types: integral proteins, as you are seeing, peripheral proteins, and there will be some sterols. Look at that, cholesterol, which is arranged in different manner in different regions of plasma membrane. Integral or transmembrane proteins go through the membrane. They have hydrophobic. What is meant by hydrophobic? Hydros means water, phobia means scare, fear. So they don't like hydrophobic regions within the interior of the membrane, and then hydrophilic. Here hydros means water, philic means love for the water. Hydrophilic regions at the outer membrane surface, as you are seeing, outer membrane surface. And the peripheral proteins are attached to the surface of the membrane, often to the exterior, hydrophilic. This is hydrophilic region of the transmembranes. So this is the famous structure of Singer and Nicholson's fluid mosaic model. And in this, what are the functions? Here you can see further: bilayered lipids and integral proteins, peripheral proteins, and you got a glycoprotein, oligosaccharides, and integral protein again. Channels are there. So draw the diagram, label it, and identify the functions. And what are the functions of this fluid mosaic model? Cell membranes cause compartmentalization and allow organelles to maintain identity and internal environment. 2. Protects cells from injury and allows flow of materials and information between different organelles as well as cells. 3rd, selective permeability of plasma membrane enables them to selectively allow some substances inward. Those substances that wanted to come inside the cell cannot come straight away. There will be selection, there will be criteria. And it possesses carrier proteins for the facilitated and active transport. Active transport wherein energy, ATP, is involved. So in our next session, we will be talking about other cell organelles such as the plastids, very important, and mitochondria. They are very important because a lot of energy is involved, ATP is involved. And there are secretory, some organelles are secretory in nature, like ER, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, Golgi apparatus. But remember, ribosomes, they are responsible for protein synthesis. And some organelles are responsible for movement, like flagella and cilia. And there is an organelle which is called lysosome. And this lysosome commits suicide. Hence, they are called suicidal bags. And of course, by committing suicide, they are helping the cell in throwing out waste material. And there are some microbodies like peroxisomes, glycosomes, perosomes. We'll be talking about their function. And most important one is mitosis, cell division. Centrosome and centrioles will do a lot of function. And of course, cytoskeleton, very important, microfilaments and microtubules. And finally, we'll conclude with the structure of the nucleus. I'll see you in